Hi, I'm Ross Rosenberg. Welcome to my latest YouTube video and podcast. I'm going to talk about a subject that is maybe a little bit awkward. It's personal, but I think very important. And that is, how do we make friends after age 40, especially after a divorce? So many of my clients who are divorced, and many of them from pathological narcissists, but this does not apply just to people recovering from narcissistic abuse, gaslighting, who identify as being codependent or self-love deficient. It really is about living in our society today, being in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and finding new friendships, finding new social avenues, new communities, new avenues to find and build friendships. Community. It's not easy. Maybe if you're a child, a teenager, or you're in college or you're in military, friendships are kind of built into that experience. But once we're in our 30s and 40s and everyone is doing their own thing, many of us are married and very busy and preoccupied and just not open to building new friends. To me, that's neither good nor bad. It just is. But if you're in your 40s to 60s and you move somewhere new, or you decide that you want to break free from being alone and lonely, disconnected, sad, and you want to either build new friends, change friends, you'll find that it's not easy, but it's possible. And the first thing I want to talk about, the most important attribute of all to have, is positive thinking. If you think that no one's going to like you or love you, people are going to judge you, you're going to prove yourself right. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you think that, everyone is married, and by the time they get to their 40s or 50s, they're all set with their friends and no one is really needing to branch out, and you predict that this is going to be a rough ride, well, it will be. Positive thinking. People want to get to know you. People are going to like you and want to be your friend, not because you're saying the right thing, not because you're wearing the right type of clothes, not because you're driving the right car. It's because they're going to connect to you and your heart. The one thing that I learned years ago, many years ago, it's from a book that was written in 1939 by, I think, Andrew Carnegie, and it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. I learned that to make friends, you have to make people feel comfortable. You have to make people want to know more about you. And the very best lesson I learned from that book is ask a lot of questions, show authentic, honest interest in a person. Look them in the eyes, refer to them by their first name, and ask a good question. Because a good question means you really are curious. It means you really care. And it means you want to know. As important as it is to ask a good question is to be connected and attentive to the answer. Ask follow-up questions. Be interested. People love to talk about themselves, and that's neither narcissistic nor codependent. The next thing I want to talk about, anxiety and fear. And it goes back to the self-fulfilling prophecy, the negative thinking. If we are struggling with anxiety and fear that plagues our social environment, that gets in our way of making new friends, you got to figure that out. Is the anxiety a disorder? And maybe you have a brain chemistry issue, a biological issue that is amenable to medication. That would mean you have what we call generalized anxiety disorder, and that is treatable with psychotherapy and medicine. But let's talk about the garden variety anxiety, the fear and the preoccupation that something's going to go wrong, the overthinking. When you try really hard to make a friend and you want it really badly, you fall apart. You trip yourself up. It is the opposite type of solution to a complicated problem. Yes, wanting something, that's good, and trying hard is good, but when you confuse effort with sincerity, when you confuse focus with spontaneity, people respond to others because of a feeling of safety. And a lot of times this is unconscious. This is not scripted. There's just a feeling. And if you're anxious, it probably means that you're exuding low self-esteem. You're exuding a lack of confidence, and it gets people nervous. I know it's not fair, but if you're insecure and anxious and you're filled with negative thoughts, it doesn't matter how well you hide it. You're going to radiate that energy. people are going to pick up on it. I know this all too well. For example, when I first moved here to Florida, I didn't know anyone. And yeah, I was a little bit sad, and I was going to start over, and I was going to find a way to build a community of friends and find a way to enjoy my life and be happy outside a romantic relationship. Practice what I preach. Pursue self-love abundance in order to negate or neutralize self-love deficit disorder. And see this clearly as day, how different things were when I first got here, and I was negative, I was nervous, and I was anxious, and how I am now 2 years later. I am relaxed, I feel confident, I smile a lot. That's what people do when they're relaxed and they're confident. It comes naturally. I tell jokes, and I'm not always funny, but I like to tell jokes. But when I am myself and I'm relaxed and I'm not thinking negative thoughts, I'm thinking positive thoughts, and which essentially are, if I am myself and I like me and I love me, well, then it makes sense for someone else to like and love me. It's not rocket science. People can tell. So if you can nip the anxiety and the fear in the bud and figure out why that's the case, psychotherapy, talk to a friend, figure out what you're stuck with, what you're stuck about. And if you can disable, somehow break this negative feedback cycle, this self-fulfilling prophecy where when you tell yourself it's not going to work out, and then you act in a way that actually makes it happen. But the key and what is so important, to be comfortable in your own skin, to love yourself. I will tell you, and it's not because I'm a therapist, because other people know this also, but when you meet people and they like themselves and they're relaxed and they're not trying to get someone to like them, they're just being themselves, there's this energy that they have. It makes you want to know more. It makes you feel comfortable. It is very disarming. A person who smiles, who's relaxed, who looks like they feel good in their own skin, who's not negative. People want to get to know them, which brings me up to the next point, negativity. So we talked about negative thinking. We've talked about the self-fulfilling prophecy. We've talked about anxiety. But the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is being negative in your conversation, is talking about problems, talking about past bad experiences, talking about a divorce or an ex-wife or a boss you don't like, talking about politics, whether you're on the right side or the left side, but being negative. People get tired of that. It's a downer, like where you want to talk about what's wrong with this country, what's wrong with kids these days, what's wrong with communication, what's wrong with TV. By the way, you might be right, but that's not the point. People who are negative are drawn to other people who are negative. People who are neutral or positive, they don't like negative people. And they might not even know they don't like them. A lot of this stuff happens unconsciously. It's like the human magnet syndrome attraction dynamic with codependents and narcissists. It happens unconsciously. Well, there's this unconscious magnetic attraction of people and friendships also. And people who are self-love abundant are attracted to people who are self-love abundant. It's the human magnet syndrome. People who are insecure and codependent are going to be attracted to narcissists and vice versa. If you feel stuck in painful relationship patterns, you're not alone. I've already helped thousands break free from what I call self-love deficit disorder and how to finally choose self-love over the insanity you create for yourselves. Work with me. My psychotherapy can help. If you do have something negative and you are upset about something, there is a place to talk about that, but not in the beginning of a friendship, not when you're trying to influence people to give yourself a chance to be known. Someone will take a chance and take the next step with you and want to get to know you even more. Don't talk about divorces. Don't talk about ex-girlfriends. Don't talk about bad bosses. Don't talk about your parents. Don't talk about anything negative. By the way, if you're overly positive and you're fake and inauthentic and syrupy, well, don't do that. Those people are annoying too, that everything is good. Everything is acceptable. In some ways, I'm jealous of those people, but sometimes it's a little bit too much. So we covered the anxiety, we covered the negative thinking, we covered negative experiences, we covered talking about negative relationships. The next category, finding a way to be relaxed. This is so difficult. If you're shy, believe it or not, I'm on the shy side. And when I tell that to people, they laugh, they don't believe me. So I say shyness is not what you do, it's how you feel. I'm an introvert and I'm shy, but I know how to act the opposite way. But if you're shy and you're an introvert, you're going against the grain. And that's not dysfunctional, that's not bad. It's just how you are, it's how you're wired. You can be shy, you can be introverted, you can be socially awkward, but you can also be self-love abundant and happy. If you're at a social event and someone is self-love abundant, they have good self-esteem, and they're shy, it's complete different energy than someone who's shy, who has bad self-esteem. To project self-love, to project self-esteem, you shouldn't have to do anything. Because if you try hard to show that to people, people are going to figure out something's kind of weird. Why are you trying so hard to show me you're so happy? Why are you talking so much about how in love you are with yourself? That you have to figure out, that you have to do, whether you need psychotherapy, whether you need to do some life changes. You have to figure out what is at the core of your self-love deficiency, what I call self-love deficit disorder or codependency, and get to the bottom of that. And that is the subject I talk mostly about. I'm a psychotherapist. I created a treatment program for self-love deficit disorder. Brings me to a topic that's related. Get into therapy. Oh my gosh, if you can afford it, find a counselor, a therapist, someone that can help you explore your new self-love abundant self, the self that is positive, that wants to connect to others, that wants to make friends. Because sometimes we cannot see what's in front of us because we need another person. And it also helps to talk to someone who is not going to be judgmental and is going to know how to help us. Smiling is so important, but you can't force a smile. But when you smile and you are relaxed and you are positive and you are self-love abundant, people will want to get to know you more. So figure out what makes you smile and then talk about it. If you're going to talk about a subject to a person that potentially will be a new friend, talk about something that makes you happy. Eye contact, very important. People who are insecure, who are angry, who are anxious, have problems with eye contact. It's almost as if eyes are windows to our soul, and then people can see through that window and see all the stuff we're insecure about. But if you've taken my advice and you have gone through all of these different parts of this video that aim to help you build new friends, and you're smiling and you have good eye contact, it makes you relatable. So even if you're shy and you're not used to looking people in the eyes, do that. It makes a big difference. If you look down, you look to the side of people, you look up, you glare. It makes a huge difference. The eyes convey so much of a person's personality and convey so much emotion. Remember that. Eye contact, body posture. If you're tense and uptight and you're sitting there with your arms folded and you can feel all your muscles wrenching and tightening up, even if you think you're hiding it, you're not. Human beings have evolved, and we instinctively read our environment. We read faces, we read eye contact, we discern what people say or don't say. Body posture, that is a big deal. Don't cross your arms, don't look down, don't look tense. Find a way to have your body reflect your feelings of being relaxed, open, not afraid. Some of these are going to be difficult because it takes good mental health, and that goes back to the therapist concept. So we talked about body posture, eye contact, sound of our voice. Yeah, how we sound. Now, of course, you have your voice and it's unique and you don't have to change it. Whether it's squeaky or deep and baritone, it is what it is. But if we are relaxed and our speech is not pressured and we're not speaking too loud or too soft, people have more interest in us. I don't know about you, but if someone is really loud, it's like they want to be heard, and that puts you on the defensive. Or people talk really softly, it gives this feeling that they're insecure. And it takes more effort for you, the person who is potentially open to meeting a new friend, a new acquaintance. It makes it harder. So think about the way you talk with regards to volume and clarity, intonation. If you're upset and angry and you go to a party and you decide, hey, I'm just going to forget about it and I'm just going to enjoy myself. But you go there with that angry, anxious energy, you're going to hear it in your voice. Someone who is a therapist like myself can tell so much from the sound of someone's voice, the tempo. Now, not everyone is this sensitive, but I promise you, most people, because of just human nature, pick up on those cues. Another thing to consider is don't brag. Actually, it's one of the biggest pitfalls of my own. And it wasn't that I liked to talk a lot about myself and I wanted to brag. It was more because I was insecure and I was afraid of rejection. But if there is something that you're really proud of and you've maybe achieved something in your career and you have a really nice car or you have this great boat, people will want to know that. Yeah, sure, of course. But they're going to want to know who you are. They're going to want to know, they're wanting to know what's going on inside of you. Get a piece of your heart. They're not going to want to know why they should like you. You're not a salesman who's having to close the deal and you're the product that you're trying to get them to buy. Don't brag. Talk about things that you enjoy, that you like, not what you own. Don't talk about how much money you make. People will figure out your financial situation, your socioeconomic status. They'll figure it out, but most people don't care. Self-confidence is communicated just by being yourself, with the smile, with the relaxation, with the positive attitude. I want to go back to something else that has to do with our mental health. I talked about anxiety and I talked about negative thinking. I want to talk about depression. Depression runs in my family, and I'm not ashamed of it. My father was in and out of mental health hospitals. I've struggled with it. I've taken medicine. I am taking medicine for it. I am so lucky that the medicine works. And when it does, I don't struggle with depression that is created from my biology, my genetics, my brain. If things suck and I have a bad part of my life, well, that's normal. But if you're depressed or sad and it goes beyond life, it goes beyond what's going on or what's not going on, and it just seems to be running by itself without abatement, without stop, without interruption. If you're depressed, whether it's serious depression, which we call major depression, for which you need medicine and psychotherapy, or medicine or psychotherapy, or if it's garden variety depression because life has been hard on you and you've been beaten down and you're sad and you're feeling bad, get a handle on that depression. Because if you go into a social environment and try to meet someone and try to hide your depression, I promise people are going to be able to pick it up. It's interesting because when I'm depressed and I try not to act depressed, I feel my face. I'm so tuned into body cues. I can feel how my face feels tighter and my mouth is tighter. I can almost feel the tension in my brow. I am aware of how depression looks on my face. I can't change it. I wish I could, because depression is really a serious problem that requires some kind of help. So if you're depressed, maybe it's not such a good idea to go out to a social event to meet people, but you can. Just stay on the outside, be more of an observer. Wait till you're feeling energized and your best self is in front of you, not behind you. And it doesn't mean you have to be perfectly happy and have everything going on. The next thing I want to talk about is drugs and alcohol. I know how common it is for people to feel socially lubricated by having a drink or two. I enjoy a drink or two. You bet. When I go play pool with my buddies, I'll have a couple of beers. When I go out with a friend, I'll have a glass of wine, I'll have a drink. And it usually makes me more relaxed. But if you're insecure, you're negative, you're anxious, you're depressed, all the things we talked about, and you are leaning on alcohol to loosen you up and make you more likable, it doesn't work. It might make you more relaxed. Alcohol is a disinhibitor. It might make you feel more safe to be yourself. But if you drink and drink to not feel the anxiety, the anger, the depression, you're going to have to drink a good amount to get there. And people are going to know that you're buzzed, that you're high, that you're slightly intoxicated. You might be smiling. You might be feeling great because the pain has gone away because you've had a couple to drink, or you smoke weed, or whatever is your drug of choice. You don't want to depend on chemicals to bridge the gap between you getting to know someone and being alone. It doesn't work really well. Now, just to be clear, I'm not talking about a beer. I'm not talking about a glass of wine. I'm talking about self-medicating and trying to get something to loosen you up, to disinhibit you. People will know. There's quite a difference of a person who is confident, who's self-love abundant, who's got good self-esteem, who's had a drink. There's someone who's insecure and who's like buzzed. You can when someone drinks too much, I can see it in their eyes. I'm a little bit hypersensitive to these things. I can hear it in their voice. I can sometimes see it in their face, their body posture. And I don't want to get to know a drunk person. If I'm going to make a friend, I don't want to make a friend who's really high. Meetup.com. I am not affiliated with the organization. I don't get any money, any advertising for me saying this, but they have been around for a while. And this website, this organization, they host groups that bring people together because of shared interest, whether it's knitting, Bible study, jogging, singles events, kayaking, astronomy. It runs the whole gamut. You can search an area based upon geography and interest. And some of these groups are facilitated by folks. They find a way to incorporate the new people into the groups, and they find a way to invite individuals and make them feel warm and comfortable. Meetup.com deserves its own YouTube video, but I will tell you, it is a lifesaver. It's a way to get out. It's a way to do things. It's a way to find activities that inspire you, that you enjoy, that you want to know more about, or to share what you know. Meetup.com is great. The next thing is time. It takes time. Oh my gosh, do I know this lesson? I've been here in Florida. I moved here, didn't know anyone, and I've been here for 2 years and 4 months. And there was no way that I could rush building a community of friends and new friends. It was difficult. It was challenging. I had to go through a bunch of hurdles that I've addressed today, but it just took time. Some people need to get to know you and see you around and see you in different places and different environments before they want to get closer to you. And there's no way to speed that up. Lonely people speed it up. Insecure people speed it up. It's just time. Time to be yourself around others. And I want to conclude, I hope all of this information in its totality or the specific parts can help you. You're a wonderful person. People want to know you. Gosh, I feel like I'm Mr. Rogers. You deserve a friend. Friends deserve to be a friend with you. Have the relationship with yourself that you want other people to have with you. In other words, love yourself, nurture yourself. I believe in you, believe in yourself, and you can do this, and it doesn't have to be so hard. If you would like more information about anything I do with regard to the codependency cure, self-love deficit disorder, my self-love recovery treatment program, my Patreon subscription program to get exclusive content, go to my website at selfloverecovery.com or shoot me an email at help@selfloverecovery.com. I hope this helped, and I believe in you. Now go and believe in yourself and get it done. You take care.